Hey everyone, welcome. We talk a lot about what it means to be a US citizen, but it's way more than just having a passport. It's this whole legal status, wrapped up in history and duty. So the big question is, how does someone actually become a citizen? Let's dive in and break down the official pathways.
All right, so here's the plan. First, we're going to figure out what citizenship really is. Then we'll check out the two main routes to get there. After that, we'll walk through the whole naturalization journey, talk a bit about other folks living in the US, and wrap up with what I think is the most important piece, what a citizen's role is all about.
Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. When you think citizen, you probably think about rights, right? Like voting. But what's the actual legal foundation for it all? Where does the definition come from? Well, turns out, the answer is written right there in the US Constitution.
All right, first things first. Let's define what this destination of citizenship even means.
So, at its most basic level, a citizen is just a legally recognized member of a country. Pretty simple. But here in the US, that definition isn't just something you'd find in a dictionary. Nope, it's actually anchored right in the Constitution, specifically in the 14th Amendment.
Okay, so we know what it is. Now, how do people get there? Well, it turns out the Constitution lays out two and only two really fundamental pathways.
Yep, that's it, just two. And they're based on two totally different ideas. One is all about where you're born, and the other is about who you're born to. So these two big ideas have these fancy Latin names, jus soli and jus sanguinis. Jus soli literally means law of the soil, and it's super straightforward. If you're born on US soil, you're a citizen. Boom. Jus sanguinis means law of blood, and that's all about your parents. A child born in another country can still be a citizen if their parents are. So really, it all boils down to place versus parentage.
But what about everyone else? What if you weren't born a citizen? Well, that brings us to that second major path, the whole journey of naturalization.
So, naturalization, what is it? It's basically the official process for someone who wasn't born with US citizenship to actually earn it. And yeah, this isn't automatic. It's a very deliberate journey, and it has some pretty clear steps.
This path is a serious commitment for sure. It all starts with becoming a lawful permanent resident. Then you have to live in the US for at least 5 years. After that, an applicant has to show they have good moral character, pass a citizenship test on civics and history, and then the final step, they swear an oath of allegiance, which is a formal promise of loyalty to the United States.
And this whole process, it has a purpose that's bigger than just one person. It's really designed to encourage people to come and share their knowledge, their skills, and to create a way for them to become fully participating members of our society, as voters, neighbors, and even as public servants.
Now, this is a really important point to make. You don't actually have to be a citizen to live and work here in the US. There are a bunch of other legal ways a person can be in the country.
Okay, let's break this down. First, you have a permanent resident. You've probably heard of a green card holder. They can lawfully live here permanently. Then you have refugees, who are people seeking protection from outside the US because of things like war or persecution. An asylee is similar, but they're seeking that protection from within the US or right at the border. And last, you have a non-immigrant. Think of this as a visitor who's here for a temporary reason, like going to school or for a specific job.
Okay, so after all that, once someone actually reaches that destination and becomes a citizen, what's next? What does that mean for them? This brings us to our final, and I think maybe the most important part of this whole thing, the role of a citizen.
So being a citizen starts with the basics, the obligations. These are the things you absolutely must do. They're like the ground rules for a functioning society, right? Obey the law, pay your taxes, which funds everything from our roads to our schools, serve on a jury if you're called, and for males between 18 and 25, register with the Selective Service. These are not optional. They're the required contributions from every single citizen.
Okay, so beyond the stuff you have to do, there are the responsibilities, the things a citizen should do. I mean, nobody's going to arrest you for not voting, right? But our whole democratic system is only as strong as the people who actually show up and participate. Things like staying informed, volunteering in your community, respecting other people's opinions. These are the actions that really help promote what's called the common good.
And this idea, the common good, is really at the heart of what it means to be a responsible citizen. It's this belief that our actions should try to benefit the whole community, not just ourselves.
It's really about shifting the focus from me to we.
So when you put it all together, you can see that citizenship is two things at once. It's a legal status you get, but it's also an active thing you do. It's this balance between the things you must do and the things you should do. Which brings us to our final thought for you to chew on. The official duties are pretty clear-cut, but what does the common good actually mean to you in your own community?